Well, welcome everyone to another episode of the Juggling Life, Finding Balance podcast. It's been a little while, but I am back. My name is Vivian Cumins, and I'm your host today. And I have a very special treat for you today. Molly Gomez is one of my newest and dearest friends. She is a former CBS television reporter turned international speaker and signature story strategist who advises high-achieving founders and executives on clarifying their authority and elevating their influence. She's also the founder of the Aligned and Assigned Inner Circle, and she is my co-host on the hottest new women's program called Salted on Abundant TV. Molly, thank you so much for being here today. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. When you invited me on your show, I said, absolutely. I know because on Salted, we all just go back and forth. So I'm like, I would love to be here.
Yes, and I think this is such a great way. I mean, you and I have never met each other in person. We've just met each other online. And this is so good for me to get to know you a little bit more and for my audience and the Salted audience just to kind of see us interact and talk about some cool stuff today. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. I gave a little intro, but let's hear some more.
Yes. Well, my husband and I, we recently were part of the California Exodus. We
Oh,
moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. I love saying that. Honestly, I never thought I would leave California. I was like California through and through forever. And then the Lord had other plans. And I
yes.
was like, I'm not going. And then we moved out here. And honestly, this place is a hidden gem. It
Mm,
really is. Minus the heat, it is
mm.
like everything you need is just right here. I love the sun. The people are incredible. The Lord is moving in so many mighty ways. And so I'm super grateful to be here. Recently became an Army wife. My husband is just about done going through basic training. So that is very big news for us. But ultimately, the calling on my life that I would like to just proclaim and share is from the news till now. The
Mm.
Lord has really made it apparent that so many people have an assault on their voice. The what they've overcome, the messy middles, they just kind of tuck it back in the closet and never want to speak of it again because it's messy.
Yeah.
But we've all heard that phrase, in your mess, there is a message. And I'm here to pull out the gold. And so, different ways I've done that over the last decade has been just sitting alongside people that are willing to say, you know what, I have something deeper to tell.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest piece that differentiates them from whoever else is doing what they're doing, whether they're a business coach, a life coach, what have you, or ministry, or just how to communicate in general. There's so much gold being left just tucked under that needs to come out because that's where God really gets the glory and how you decided not to stay where you were, but
Mhm.
forge through to where you are and let other people see that. But yet the world says if it doesn't look like this, or this, and it's all glamorous and shiny and full bank accounts, it doesn't matter. But there's so much richness outside the bank account
Yeah.
and what we can really do to be examples for other people. So through your voice, through your words, and we communicate all day long. I love helping people be able to really share the real parts of their story.
I love that. You know what? You took that first step. You made that comment about you left California, didn't think you ever would, and then you went to Nevada and stuff. We kind of had that. My husband and I kind of had that similar experience. We're retired military, and so we ended up in Utah. That was one of our last duty stations, and we're like, oh, it's beautiful here. We got some family and friends here. We'll homestead here. And so after he retired, we went back to Utah and we stayed 10 years, and then God sent another job to my husband, and it was such a great opportunity, and it was for a general manager position here in California. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I would move to California. I mean, we're from Oklahoma, we're just like country bumpkins, and but you just never know. But the thing is that we said yes. And so we didn't know what was going to happen here. And so we keep saying, it's like, okay, what's going to be the next yes? Just kind of hanging out, waiting for that
Mhm,
next yes. So I love that you obeyed, and look what God is doing with your
mhm.
obedience. You are just doing great things. Well, I would love to. I've got some questions prepared for us just to kind of keep us on track because there's so many things that I want to talk to you about. And one of the things that I love about your work is that it's rooted in helping women with discernment, stewardship, and trust when it comes to their calling. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I'm really intrigued.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's so much deeper when you get inside of a person and they open up, right?
Yeah.
They really actually open up saying, Here's where I'm at. And
Mhm.
most of the time for women, it actually comes down to worthiness. Am I worthy to
Mm.
be heard? Am I worthy to be seen? So they need to
Yeah.
trust that, yes, you are worthy. Then, like anything else, in order to get really good at a recipe, you need practice. In
Yeah.
order to build muscle, you have to get in the gym consistently. Everything takes time and practice. But when it comes to how we speak, or even not only the stories we tell other people, but most importantly, the stories we tell ourselves
Mhm.
right here in between these two things, our ears, we have to be aware. And so for them to trust themselves that you went through these different things, and some of those probably very unfortunate, it should have never happened to you, but you know what, it did. I've had some of those stories in my life, and I'm like, Lord, how can you use this? But the first piece you have to be able to, before you can really use it, you have to heal. So
Yes.
the stories we tell ourselves, there has to be healing, and we have to heal from probably the wreckage that we've been just wrecking our mind with what we're saying and
Mhm.
tearing ourselves down. We actually don't need anybody else to do that. Unfortunately, we do it
We do a
very
great
well
job.
all by
Yeah.
ourselves. And so, how can we heal ourselves and love ourselves and truly look at ourselves in the mirror? I
Yeah.
remember I was in a leadership program, and one of the exercises that they did is they turned off all the lights in the room. Everybody had a mirror. You found like a little corner by yourself and a flashlight, and you held the mirror up and you had the flashlight here just shining on your face, and you had to stare at yourself for 5 minutes.
Oh,
Nothing.
no.
And like
Oh.
all of a sudden, you hear like just the room just like sniffling, like tears are falling, because it's like people will look in a mirror, but they're not actually looking,
Yeah.
not really looking inside themselves. And so it
Yeah.
really does start there. And so when I can be in a Zoom room, a physical room, whatever it may be with a woman, most of the time, even when I just meet them, nine
Mhm.
times out of 10, they either will get emotional or they will say, sometimes both, they'll say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I'm like, I do. The Lord does this all the time. Like, if you can find that safe place where you can
Mhm.
really get to it, that's what
Mhm.
it's all about. And for me, that's truly kingdom work,
Yeah.
having people feel seen, heard, and appreciated. So a lot of people, it starts with the way they speak, but then when they let me in, it's like, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper, because there was something somewhere or someone who said something to you, and then you stop talking.
Yeah.
My history with when it comes to speaking, I was always told you are too much, you are too loud, you are too TOO dot dot dot, you fill in the blank. And I just was like, well, forget you guys. I'm going to keep doing it anyways. And then I had to heal from a lot of pride over the last couple decades. But it
Mhm.
pushed me through, but not everybody has that story. So
Mhm.
even though those were spoken over me, a lot of people have had those words spoken over them and then they shut down. I just forged through and now I get paid to talk for a living. But most people who get shut down, it's like, no, let's go there, because that was a ploy from the enemy or somebody else projecting their hurt. Let's
Yeah.
let's heal from that, and then let's keep moving on. So it's not these big leaps that society will say, "Oh, this is impressive." It's the little bits every day and having those compounding efforts.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. So I'm interested. I want to go back to that exercise actually, because that
Mm.
would feel so awkward to me. And what were the women expressing? I mean, did they come back and express what the tears, what they were feeling when they were looking at themselves? What were causing the emotion?
Unfortunately, it was a lot of hate at first.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
lot of self-hate. It was
Okay.
like, "I'm not this, I'm not that. How could you do that? I'm ugly. Look at that wrinkle. Look at that hair that needs to be tweaked." I mean, you name it.
Mm,
Just but then the whole point of this exercise was like, okay, how can you flip it of like, what do you love about yourself?
mm,
Oh, that took a lot longer. But then like the real deep tears started to come out, because when was the last time you actually looked? Not just putting on your makeup, not just
mhm.
doing your hair, but really looked like in your own soul.
Yeah.
Where are you? How are you? And sometimes, not sometimes, I actually highly recommend we do that maybe at least like once a month. I know it sounds
Mhm,
crazy, but when we can really do a self check and
mhm,
our body feels seen and heard, so much
mhm.
happens. And so I believe that's a lot of what happened in that room. There was men in that room too. It
Yeah.
was a co-ed leadership training.
Mhm.
So to hear men sniffle and get emotional, it's like that unlocked
Oh.
even probably more for me to hear from men vulnerably of what that was coming up for them, which was very similar. A lot
Mhm.
of I'm not this, I'm not that, and just a lot of lies.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I'm going to take myself through this exercise, and I kind of think I already have because I'm seeing that. I'm going through a new season in life, a retirement season, as well as life changing for women season. And I find myself looking in the mirror and finding all of the things that are changing. And I'm starting to complain about them. My body looks different. My hair looks different. My face looks different. I mean, I'm finding all of these things that are changing, and in my mind, it's all bad. There's nothing good. I haven't found anything good in it at this point. So I'm going to take myself through this exercise this week, one day this week, and I'll let you know how it goes. And I'm
Yes,
going to try
I
to
want to hear.
really just look at it with look at my reflection with compassion for the season that I'm in, knowing that God still has a plan for me and a purpose for me in this new season. So I'm going to let you know how it goes. I'll be honest.
Yes,
I'll be
please.
honest.
I mean, it's if you're not honest, like, with yourself, then, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just gonna keep getting deeper and deeper, and then it's gonna
Mhm.
come out, and, like, for me, it always comes out in, like, the worst way. I'm like, "Okay, well, try
Mhm.
to address this a little bit quicker this time."
Yeah, yeah. So in your work, how would you define that difference between like what's normal life transition and what's like a God ordained shift? I mean, I'm talking a little bit of change in season as far as, going through menopause and so forth. But what about those other normal transitions, moving to a new state or doing something different?
Oh my goodness. I mean, for somebody to move to different states, it's such a great question. I mean, for me, I'm just like, "Where do you want me, Lord?" And just being open,
Mhm.
right? It sometimes I could say there's like a certain maybe favor and flow when you move to a new place when God ordains it, 'cause that
Mhm.
definitely happens, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy and you want to
Yeah.
do it and you're going to like it. But there's a different type of favor and peace that's on it. You could be
Mhm.
uncomfortable because it's changing, but there's a peace that surpasses all understanding of like, okay, Lord, like for example, my husband at the beginning of this year in 2026, when he said, "Hey, I'm going to enlist in the military," I was like, what? I was like, "You're not just gonna go blow up our lives just because you wanna do something new." And then I had to pull it back. He
Oh,
gave me the full vision, and once I
okay.
heard the full vision, I had ultimate peace. But as I'm learning, and you've been
Oh.
20 years in, so you know this already, I'm
Mm.
learning, I'm like, there are so many things out of my control, and I have no clue what's going on, and that's okay.
Yeah.
My A-type brain, that's normally never okay, so that's how I know I have the peace of the Lord because I get asked, "How do you deal with that?" Like, "Do you know where
Mhm.
you're moving?" I'm stressed for you. I'm like, "I don't receive that. The Lord knows where
Very
we're moving,
good.
and we will figure it out from there," because we have to release things that are out of our control. And
Mhm.
my husband going into this new season of life, what he needs from me most is support. What he needs from me is
Yes.
love. And he just needs me to make sure I can handle everything at home, which I already do on a normal basis. So it's not new, it's just
Yeah.
different. So
Mhm. Mhm.
it will be challenging. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of parts I don't like, but I
Mhm.
know God ordained it because the peace that I feel of I'm okay with not knowing.
Yeah.
That is like rare air.
It really is. And that piece that it's so important that you understand and are able to discern that it is peace. When my husband decided to retire from the Air Force, we were stationed in Okinawa, Japan at the time. He was up for chief, and chief is the highest enlisted rank that you can get. And the commanders and the general, excuse me, were all like, you are what we need in this Air Force. And so, but we were feeling like I don't think we're supposed to go for this because I was an employee with the government as well. And I was at a rank where I had more earning potential in my career versus if my husband had made chief, we would get another duty assignment. And as a military spouse, I wasn't guaranteed that I could transfer my job. And so we had to make that decision. And where everybody is telling us, you've got to go for it, you got to go for it, you have to make chief, my husband and I are taking walks every night saying, I don't think this is what God wants from us. And
Mm.
that was very difficult to throw that away. And so we came up kind of with this was our strategy. My husband says, I'm not going to go in there and take the test and just blow it. I will try. I will try. And if it's God's plan for us that I make it and we move and have, I think we were going to have to do 3 to 4 more years. And we get stationed at some place that, it's kind of career suicide for your job, then God has a plan. But if I don't make it, God has a plan. And so we had so much peace
Mm.
when we made that decision that we're just going to do our best and then let God take the rest of it. And then, everything then started falling into place. And here he is today. He's a general manager over a transit company. And had he not have, decided to retire at that time, who knows? He might still be in. Goodness gracious, I can't even imagine that at this point. But I mean, it's just it's taking it to the Lord and
Yes.
saying, I'm open and I want to obey. I genuinely want to obey whatever it is that you have for us, and then just letting it all fall into place. So
Amen.
I
I mean,
love
I
the
love
peace.
that you two together, you're like, okay, even though it looks good on paper and everybody says, you're like, Lord, but what do you say?
Yes.
And so when you have that, but what do you say? And you have to understand that like God will probably do things that's like, this makes absolutely no sense. And if you want proof
Mm-hmm.
of that, go read the Bible, because all of that for most people makes no sense how
Yeah.
everything went out. Like, wait,
Yes.
what? Like this, but we read that book, but we're like, look at it, how it can translate into your own life.
Mm-hmm.
When we moved out here from California to Nevada, my husband had his own media business. He's been incredibly successful with that,
Mm-hmm.
incredibly talented, but he has felt disconnected from that for a long time.
Mm.
And so moving here, not like, let alone no friends, no family out here, moving out here. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, he's like, this is what I'm doing. And then he leaves a couple months after that. Now, he'll never come back here because he'll go to his first duty
Yep.
station. It's just like, it's so
Yep.
wild. And this is actually the one area that we would love to like plant roots. And I'm like, well, maybe we'll just get some real estate. But at the end of the day, this was all part of God's pivot of
Yeah.
here where we're going. And then when it comes to the military, I felt so strongly. It's like, here's your new mission field. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh my goodness. And so you never know where he's going to lead. And
Mm-hmm.
so even if it doesn't make sense, because we had plenty of people say, please don't leave, please don't leave. And I'm like, the Lord is just opening up door after door. And I love y'all, but I love him more. So I have to go.
Absolutely. I love that. And it kind of reminds me of something that I say all the time. I feel like I'm every 4 to 5 years I get this holy discontent. And I don't know if that's
Mm,
spiritual or not, but I felt like that when we were in Utah, even well before the recruiter called my husband offering him this job. I started feeling like this isn't home, this isn't right. I'm not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here. And I didn't share that with my husband for a long time until he came to me and said, "Hey, I got the weirdest call from this recruiter." And I'm like, I knew it. I just felt this holy discontent. And the funny thing, Molly, is I'm starting to feel that again where we're at
mm.
now. We're going on our fifth year, and it's like I'm starting to get that stirring again. And so I'm kind of like, okay, God, is it just because I have been in the military lifestyle, moving every 3 to 4 years since I was 19 years old? So is that
Wow.
what's stirring up in me? Or is it that it is this holy discontent when God is about to move in our life again? And so I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on holy discontent, like
Mm.
your husband. It sounds like he went through that too.
He did. What's crazy
Yeah.
is, so my husband Johnny,
Mhm.
I didn't know that he had this calling on his life for the army. And apparently he's had it before we got together. And we've been
Okay.
together 7 years, married 6. And I'm like, honey, what do your insides look like that you've ignored this calling? I was like, you have to, after all the peace, I said, you gotta go. So bye-bye. Like you have to leave. I mean, I want him around. We're best friends, trust me. But I'm like,
Yeah.
that you have to leave. So he had
Yeah.
that for a while, but it's just making the right decision, which he
Mm,
just took a little bit longer.
mm,
For me, I'm more of a band-aid ripper of like just like let's move. But
yeah.
sometimes the Lord, I do have those shuffling seasons, especially when it
Mm,
comes to physical moving. I
yeah.
have moved almost like, I think we're going on almost 20 times in my life, from
Mm,
different homes, different states, all
yeah.
of it. And the funny part is now I'm getting into the military. We're gonna add that number is gonna get even higher. So to your point, there's different locations or different vocations or
Hmm.
transitions that he needs to prune and bring things out of you.
Hmm.
The last 5 years, I would say 2025 was the last year I was pruned for about 5 years in a somewhat of a wilderness season in a
Yeah.
business that I was building. Hindsight looking at it, the Lord had to humble me there, taught me things there, also really increased my wisdom and discernment. Then he had me completely walk away, not take a penny, take an email,
Oh,
nothing, and just was like,
wow.
go start over.
Oh.
And that was very depleting and challenging, but so peaceful at the same time, even
Mm,
though it's hard when you feel the peace you
yeah.
have to move. And luckily, I didn't know that back then in 2025 that that transition was coming. I think it was July. I had a conversation with my brother-in-law and he's like, let's just go to lunch, which we never go to lunch because we're
Mhm.
both super busy. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just happened. And then it's like he asked one question and it's like he had the sharpest needle and I had a full balloon of water and just pop. And then I just start bawling in the middle of the restaurant. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, this was divine. And
yeah.
my brother-in-law, it's so funny. He comes in at these big pivotal moments professionally every single time. This is like he's done it like 3 or 4 times now. So like how the Lord will even position certain people. And
Yes.
it's beautiful, but it's his way of I can use any form of creation, a new
Yes.
location, a person, a sunrise, and something speaks to you, and you
Mhm.
just have to be obedient, and it may not make sense, but go,
Mhm.
and I got you.
Mhm. I love that he used him in your life. For years, I think since 2020, I've been telling my husband, I was like, God's going to call me out of the government. And I says, I don't know what he's going to do, but I feel like I'm not going to make it to 62 for retirement. God's going to call me out into some kind of ministry. And my husband's like, okay, babe, you can't be quitting. You've got an annuity you're working for. You cannot be quitting your job. And I said, I'm not going to quit. I just feel like God's going to call me out. And so then fast forward to 2025, and the government was doing a lot of changing and shifting and stuff like that. And they offered an early retirement. And I had been saying this to my husband for years, and he was never on board, ever, ever. And then when this happened, I mean, God, I think, was working on him for years to get
Mm,
his heart prepared. Because when they brought that down, I told my husband, I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance to get out and to enter into ministry work. And he was like, okay. So I just love how God, I
yes,
mean, because I could not have done that without my husband's, I don't want to say approval, but we are a team and he is the head of
right.
our home, right? And so in my prayer time, I would tell God, I was like, look, I know you don't want me to do this against Eddie's will, so you're going to have to bring him in alignment.
That's right. I mean,
And
he
it
wants
took some
that.
time.
That's
Exactly.
biblical.
It is biblical. And so it was just so neat to see that. And then my husband became my biggest supporter because when I was starting to do the paperwork and actually pull the trigger on this retirement, I started getting all weird. I'm like, oh gosh, is this really right? That's a big decision,
That's very
27
big.
years, identity and all that stuff wrapped up in one. But anyways, but I love how God does that. And he prepares our hearts and he prepares the hearts of other people that we
Yes,
need to
yes.
help us to make those decisions to transition into a new season. Do you agree?
Amen. I totally agree. He will position the right people.
Yeah.
Moving into Las Vegas, everybody has their preconceived notions. I
Yeah.
did the same. I was like, okay, Lord. However, the church that I attend, it's a very small church. It's called Bringing Families Back Ministry. It's a
Okay.
disciple revival church. That's what it
Okay.
is. And I never thought that I would see so many people really in it for the Lord. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking the Acts church, and I'm talking like, I mean, really like full of grace, full of love, full of the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
I've also never seen warfare against a church like this because of what they're doing and the enemy is trying to stop it.
Yeah.
And, we all know that when we're in the right place, the enemy is going to try to like get in any way
Yes, he
that he
does.
can. But it's the disciple revival that is happening here in Las Vegas because of BFB, Bringing
Hmm.
Families Back Ministries, and other things. Who knew that in Las Vegas, like that would be a thing?
Right.
But when
Sin City.
Sin City. And with that being said, when one of my first or second Bible studies I was sitting in, because I knew that one of the pastors, we'd been friends online for a couple years.
Yeah.
So going in there, I was like, oh, this is it. The minute I stepped in, I felt the tangible presence of the Lord. I'm like, I'm in. And I heard the Lord say, this is going from Sin City to Sacred City.
Ah,
And so many
love
people just
that.
write it off because of all the debauchery down at the Strip. I'm like, every
Yeah.
single city, every single state has a strip. It may
Yep.
not be as flashy and crazy as that,
Yeah.
but there's so much that's going on here just with the people. And
Hmm.
one of the first things he had me do when I moved here is at 5 a.m. when I'm like having my prayer time with the Lord, he said, go down to the strip, put your hand out the window and start praying. I said, no, Lord. He said, go. And I'm like,
Gosh.
okay, and then it wasn't
Uh,
that bad, I'm like,
yeah.
there's no drunk drivers out or whatever, but, like, it's just sad, it's very sad, but at the end of the day, like, he will position and move you to where people need you and you need them.
Yeah. I love that. So you're telling us a little bit about, you've got some transitions coming up in your future as your husband, excuse me, obtains orders and that kind of thing. But you're also such a leader with the women that you're working with and stuff. And so I want to know how can you or others, excuse me, lead well when you too are going to be in a transition yourself?
Well, somebody made a joke, but not really, several months, maybe not several months, a handful of months ago. They go, you know what? With all the coaching that you've done, 'cause I've been in the space for a decade, she's like, you should be a transition coach. I've never seen one person go through so much transition. And I sat there, I was like, that is a fair point. Because I've
Yeah.
had to put on a brave face, lead
Mhm,
many people, even when my
mhm,
entire life, marriage, home, everything
mhm.
was about ready to be taken away or falling apart.
Yep.
And it's just like, Lord, like there would be moments I'm like, I can't do this. And he's like, okay, great, but I can. So are you going to play ball? Sometimes that's
He
how the
always
Lord
has
talks
an
to me.
answer.
He always has an answer. And so long story short, it just goes back to I release it and surrender it to
Mm,
you.
mm,
Because there are days where I'm like, I don't have it. Like when my husband first left, I was a wreck for like 4 weeks and I could
mhm,
hardly do anything. And then
mhm.
there's moments where I get emotional. And there's moments where sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'm married. He's just not around. Like I'm so busy and focused. Like I'm locked into where the Lord has me because he has me building things in this season where my
Mhm.
identity is in him. And it's also embedded in my work, helping other people share their story, building different parts of my business, leading a high-end mastermind, which is called the Align and Assign Inner Circle for 6 to 7 figure faith-led founders. Really just
Mm,
helping people find that story from the high-level entrepreneurs to the people who are just starting with some of the digital products that I have. And at the end of the day, it's all for if we can tap on the real story and get that out, the low hanging fruit for the people I serve is you are going to be able to turn strangers into clients before the closing call. And everybody's like, yes, how do I do that? The high hanging fruit that I like, sometimes I'm like, should I share this? But people need to know
mhm,
is the healing that will take place in your voice. And a healed voice makes hell shake. And
mm.
we need more healed voices. That is my mantle.
I love
From
it.
news till now, I knew the power of storytelling, and the Lord had to refine me and move me and then do a lot of stuff in my own story. And so I know going into being a military wife and like meeting these other women, I have heard there's a lot of and just women in general, not even just in the military, just a lot of identity that's wrapped up
Mhm,
in the wrong things. And I used to be there, it was
mhm,
wrapped up in my performance, my bank account, everything else. And I called myself a Christian at that point too.
mhm,
But I'm like,
mhm,
Lord, even if I have $0, what matters? And there was many moments where I had negative dollars and I'm like,
mm.
okay, Lord, all that matters is I'm in your presence and you love me. What do you have me do next? And
Yeah,
it's like when you get peeled down to that layer and you're singing in church also like all I want is you and then that's literally all you have. When you can come out of that place and then pour out that oil in the
yeah,
places that God wants you to pour, not just anywhere. It's like what a privilege and an honor. Because if God gave us his
yeah,
most precious oil, which was his son Jesus, if I can pour out a little bit of mine or give it all back to him and watch him multiply it in whatever way that looks like, that is what I'm here to do through storytelling, helping women expand in the marketplace, but just healing more voices and allowing people to see, yes, you can be a lover of Jesus and be a disciple and be in the marketplace and not be ashamed. Like,
yes,
go be loud and proud about that. Don't try to shove and convert all these people. Let your actions, your love, your tone, who you are, let that speak. Because
yeah,
Jesus just he let a lot of things speak. He didn't say much at all, but when he said something,
yep,
the words had weight. And so it's helping more
yeah.
people do that.
I love it. I feel like you need to write a book.
I have been told that so many times. So that is definitely on the list.
Okay.
I'm
I
like,
just
Lord, what book? Like they keep
Oh, well.
telling me. So you tell me which one first and we'll get to writing.
Yeah, I do. I do. That's kind of how it came down with me too, with my books and stuff. It's like you go through so much. So I write nonfiction. And so there's kind of a saying in the nonfiction world, we write about what we know. And so I did. And so it sounds like you have a lot of wisdom to share. So
Oh,
we'll
thank
just
you.
sprinkle that little seed and let that marinate a little bit more.
Actually, at this point, the seed is there. It's probably starting to sprout somewhere. And
It's
I
like,
said,
wait,
Lord,
Molly, it's time to do something.
I have 7 different titles. I'm just gonna need it's one thing at a time. So it's
Yeah.
there. And I have notes everywhere around my house
I
of like,
love it.
what book is it, Lord? tell me which one you want me to
Mhm.
start with. And so I know when
I
it's
love it.
time though, he's going to just boom,
That
it's
is
going to
so
be out.
true. And then let me just digress for just a second. But that is so true because I was working on a book for years and years and years. And then when I retired, let's see, my last day was March 31st of last year. I finished two books and they were both published December 30th.
Wow.
From March 31st to December
There
30th,
it is.
I mean, it was just so fast and it was so weird how fast it was. So that's how you know it's God. And so
And that's
by
what I want. Books can be
yes,
painful. And I'm like,
yes,
I have to, you just have to let it flow, Lord. So
yes,
I said,
yeah.
with my husband being gone right now, I'm like, totally let it flow, but he hasn't given me the release yet. But I feel like it's coming. And when it comes,
Mhm.
it's going to be quick.
Yes, yes. God is a God of I was going to say quickness. That doesn't sound very good, but yeah, he's fast.
He is fast, very fast.
Oh, well, as we're coming to the close today, gosh, I could talk to you forever. We have so many things to talk about, but maybe we'll get to that on Salted in the next upcoming months. But I have a few bonus fun questions because
Ooh.
this is a podcast on juggling life and finding the balance in that. So I'd love to ask you, I know you're a very busy lady. So tell us, what do you do to create balance in your life?
Well, I would say it's more discipline than balance, and people
Mm,
just rewire the way you think about the word discipline because it's for
yep,
our good. We're not in
yep.
trouble. It's just doing things that are better for us. And what I
Hmm.
learned is about 4, almost 5 years ago, I started waking up very early in the morning.
Hmm.
For most people, it's in the middle of the night. So
Okay.
I wake up very early to spend my time with the Lord to fill my cup for about an hour. Then I go into the gym by like
Okay.
4:30 in the morning. And then after that, I take on the rest of the day. And usually I'm wrapped up by the middle of the day.
Okay.
The reason why I'm sharing this is everybody says I don't have time. But in order
Mhm.
for you to find that harmony or that balance or something where you're not coming out of an empty cup,
Yep.
you have to give your first fruit somewhere. And is it that to a couple minutes more extra in the bed? Is it to just a pot of coffee and running? Is it to these negative thoughts of I'm behind? Or is it, Lord, I'm going to give it all to you first?
Mhm.
And that for me has been the best thing hands down, because
I
even
love
though
it.
there's been many mornings I do not want to get up, I want to sleep
Mm.
in, and I rather
Mhm.
do something else. I have seen the tangible fruit in my relationships, business, and life by giving
Yep.
my first fruits of my time to the Lord. And so that has helped me tremendously because I tested it when I
Mhm.
started doing it. I'm like, oh, let me just see. I was a horrible person and everybody got the worst of me. So it doesn't take away what's on the plate. It
Yeah.
just makes sure I come out of a full place and a centered place with the Lord. So he guides my steps, not my emotions.
Oh, I love that. What do you do for fun? You mentioned the gym, and I know our co host and colleague Stephanie loves to work out. Not on my favorite things to do, but maybe it is for you. But tell us what you do for fun because we got to have fun. That's part of the whole living a balanced life.
Yes, yes. No, that is something I'm still exploring of like what more can we do? Every once in a
Yeah.
while I have a coloring book, an adult coloring book, so I will get in there.
Okay.
I will go to the mountain out here and I probably will do that soon because it's another triple digit day and I'm like I
Mm.
need to go be up where it's like 40 degrees cooler. But being in nature and just being still.
Yeah.
If I lived by the beach, which is the only thing I miss about California, that would be where I am the most, just to recenter, take a walk, take a run,
Mm.
just sit and soak. So a
Mm.
lot of it is more relaxing just
Yeah.
to be. And then it's like, if, of course, like finding relationships. I'm a very big relationship person. So
Mhm.
I'm spending a lot of time with family this summer to just be like with my husband being gone. I'm going to spend a couple weeks in Florida with my parents. And then another 2 weeks, my parents will also be in San Diego. I'll be with my brother and
Oh.
sister-in-law and niece. And so just really like mindful of where my time is
Yes.
what I love to do for fun because it's meaningful. It's not just
Yes.
a, oh, we'll see what happens. Now, some traveling and doing some fun stuff. Like I'm a big, like, I need to go get a massage and have a girl's day. Huge on that.
Yes.
But also relationships are huge
Mhm.
because we always can be so busy that we don't make the time. And I'm like,
Mhm.
we can find the time. We just have to prioritize it.
That's right. I love that. Well, Molly, I loved having you here. Will you tell us how folks can contact you, get to your website, socials, all the things?
Yes, of course. Well, Vivian, thank you so much for having me. I love that you're starting up your podcast again. And it's so much fun to come on here and share. And hopefully somebody got something out of what I said or either of us. But ultimately, I mean, I'm all over social media. So Molly Gomez on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, it's the Molly Gomez. Signature Story Co. is my website, and I'm just grateful to serve in any way that I can. And another channel too, more of a discipleship driven channel. It's called Sanctify Us. If you go on Telegram and type in Sanctify Us, the link should pop up. But if you go to my link tree on my Instagram, you should be able to find it. That's where daily prayers, activation, and discipleship messages of whatever the Lord wants to say through me go on there. Because ultimately, just people are hungry. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, Lord, how can I help feed them with you? Is basically the answer.
I love that. Well, I will make sure all of that is in the show notes so everybody can find those and go visit you on those platforms. And so for those of you who are listening and watching today, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check out all of Molly's information and socials, and be sure to go to my website, viviancumins.com. I have 2 new downloads there, and the latest is the Better Way Forward Leadership Guide that pairs perfectly with my 2 new books. So if you're looking to start a women's group, check out that on my website. And so until next time, be blessed and stay balanced.